right, here is the Fantasy Golf Metrics Survival Guide for the WGC HSB Champions at Shishan International Golf Club. Just want to thank everyone for the support we've gotten the last few weeks. We've added a few new metrics and a couple new features, so I just wanted to make sure everyone understood exactly what they were looking at so they can get the most out of what we've been offering. This first tab here, you can see is our info tab. It's basically all the contents that we have. You can have your player ranks, your stat ranks, which again is over a 12-week moving average. We don't use year to date, we don't use last year, we use the average over a 12-week period of all the players that are playing in that event. The stat ranks for the club itself. Some courses have a little more data than others, but we will always offer that each week. Event by event, you're going to be able to see over the last 12 weeks how players have scored based on DraftKings points as well as their finish positions. Same thing, course history by year. Year by year, you'll see the DraftKings points scored as well as the finish positions for just that course. Putting ranks is one of my favorite splits here. This week they're playing on bent grass greens. I don't think it makes much sense to look at how people have been putting on Bermuda or Paspalum or POA if they're going to be putting on bent grass for the week. So this factors into our metrics, and it also gives you the chance to just look and see exactly how players have done just on this surface. We also offer Euro Tour as well as Web.com Tour data, just so you can see anyone that is in the field that played there, how they've been performing. And of course, there's some course data based on the grass, the turf conditions, a little history about the course itself. So let's jump right in. We have your player ranks right here. And as you can see, it's ranked from 1 through the end of the field. And each player is going to get a fantasy golf metric score. It's basically a forecast of our algorithm. You can see exactly how many events that they've played in the last 12 weeks. The recent form score is basically our kind of proprietary score, just on a scale from 1 to 10, how they're performing just in recent form. Same thing for key stats. Everything is on a 1 to 10 when it's a score. The average DraftKings points over this time is listed over here. All the prices. If there's any course history, it'll tell you how many times they've played the course and what their course history score is, again, from 1 to 10. That leaves me with the points gained against price as well as the value rank. And these are our two newest metrics, so I wanted to make sure I was clear here. The value rank is not necessarily who's the best value for their price. Basically, this is a metric that looks at how well a player has achieved the appropriate amount of points to cash in a lineup. So a player that is priced at $6,000 needs to generate X amount of points to be part of a cashing lineup. And a player that's $13,000 needs to generate X amount of points as well to be part of a cashing lineup in most cases. So basically, this looks at over the history how much a player has exceeded the threshold of their price. So basically, is their value here. The trend score, that's something that's basically looking over the 12-week period instead of just a straight average. It'll give you an example of whether they're basically improving performance, kind of staying in the middle, or if they're going to be kind of dipping down. Now, don't mistake this. If you have a perfect 10 like Bubba or you have a 1 like Brendan Grace, it doesn't mean that you're doing extremely, extremely well. You're doing awful. You got to keep it in the mindset that this is that type of player and which direction are they headed. Brendan Grace, he's been playing pretty well. This just says that over the course of the 12 weeks, it's been going slightly downhill. Someone could go finish first, second, third, and technically they're going downhill. It doesn't mean they're playing poorly, but this is just more of a directional tool for you to see, are they on the way up, or are they on the way down? And then last, the newest one we have is the points gained against price. This is probably my new favorite metric here, and basically what it does is it looks at the average DraftKings points a player has scored against the fields that they've played in, and then it takes their current price point and looks at all of the players that have been in that price point range and this number is how well or how many points above that threshold for the price the player has scored. So basically this is saying that, over the past 12 weeks, Justin Thomas has scored 13.57 points against what the population would normally score at $9,400. If there's any more questions on that, I know it's more of an advanced statistic like strokes gained putting, like strokes gained tee to green. It's the same concept in many ways. So again, you can feel free to ask about that. So let's move on to the stat ranks. This is basically a list of all the different stats that we have. We'll start here with the raw data. Again, ranked by starts, their average DraftKings price across all those starts, the points against field average. This is basically how many points that player has averaged against the field. So this is part of that points gained metric, but this is just the raw over all the events, how much more are they scoring above the field. Of course, you'd expect someone that's priced a lot higher to score significantly higher than the average. In many cases, that is how it turns out. Sometimes it kind of is eye-popping to see it's not as much the case. It'll look at your average DraftKings points, the max, the min. I like these two because it'll basically show if they've played, let's find someone here. Someone like Bubba Watson, they've played 6 events. Yeah, I mean, they've made 64.50 all the way up to 99. That's a very different range than, say, 85.50 to 23.50 here like Russell Knox. So it shows a level of consistency, but it also shows a level of potential on the max side. Just some high finishes, first, second, third over the time frame. And then in this section over here, we have basically all of the ranks against the tour. So just total money, points against field, DraftKings points, field strength, which is a metric we've created, top 10 percentage, basically everything you can see here. This is their rank against the tour. We go far out as all the different distance ranges, proximity from the fairway, rough, sand, putting ranges. And again, these are all ranks against the tour. If we move over to the stat ranks, just for Shay Shine International, the course history ranks, basically this will again ranked by amount of starts, the points against field average, average DraftKings points, all that you can see here. Unfortunately, Shay Shine doesn't have as much data because they don't do the shot link over there, so it's a little limited compared to, say, 2 weeks ago at Fry's or Shriners. But we still have a lot of the ranks in terms of money and course history, top 10 percentage, par 3 scoring through par 5 scoring, which is probably pretty big to have, birdie or better, bogey or worse. So a lot of the stuff we do have, unfortunately, we don't have the proximity and putting stats that we would like to have, but we get a pretty good sense from what we do see here. And then, of course, we have the event by event. This is basically for each player the last 12 weeks. This is going to show each week how they've done in DraftKings in terms of points. And then over here, it'll also show their finish position to see how they've done over those weeks. Quick snapshot, also their average points and their average finish here as well. Same format for the course history. Unfortunately, we didn't have some of the data before DraftKings points in 2013. For most of the courses we do, as far back as we need to, we were able to calculate the DraftKings points, but we were only able to do that for 2013 and 2014 here. The finish position here goes back to 2009 at this course. It goes back a little further, I believe, but the data isn't as available. So every week we'll have a snapshot of the course with all these numbers here. Okay, and here we have our putting ranks. You can see, again, sorted by starts, and this is just the numbers based off of bent grass. So points against field average and DraftKings points, you'll see here just for those events. Average DraftKings points, who has the smallest finishing position. Obviously, these guys haven't played. This guy's played once. Rory's played 5 times on this turf, and he's averaged 13.5 for his finishing position. Pretty good. You can see a lot of the big names, obviously, up here. We'll sort that back. Strokes gained putting on this turf against the tour. Looks like Thomas Aiken. He's only got 2 starts, but through those 2 starts on bent grass, he's ranked second on tour. Brendan Grace loves bent grass. Mark Warren has done well there. A lot of these guys you can see have done well just on bent grass. So I think it's really neat to kind of look at just the surface because you'll see very wide splits I know I've mentioned a lot of different players over time. Matt Kuchar is one of them, putts really well on Bermuda, not so well on Bent. A lot of large splits like that. Of course, I mentioned the Euro Tour, EuroOnWeb.com. This is just the data, the whole field's over here, who's had the most outside events. That's how we've ranked it here. You can see how many have been Web, how many have been Euro. And these are the numbers, for each player. Obviously, the stats are a bit more limited, but you will get a good sense for how well they're playing, if they hit the ball far, if they're accurate off the tee, if they're ball strikers, how they're putting. We've created our own little total putting rank here. It's kind of a combination of putts per green and putts per round, just to give you a sense there. So just if you want to get some background data on some guys that don't have much PGA Tour experience, but you want to see how they're playing on other tours, this is a snapshot for you. And then last, we have the course data here. It'll tell you the exact yardage, rating, slope, the average tee size, the average green size, how many bunkers there are, the types of grass, the stint meter. Looks like they're going to have the greens rolling, pretty fast. They've got them up to 12.5 at certain times. So this is just another little snapshot of data that is good to see. So thanks everyone for checking this out, and we wish you all the best of luck, and hopefully the data we've provided here gives you some winners.